G'day, you're listening to the Virtual Staff Room and this is episode 12. Use it till it breaks. I wish I'd had $1 for every time I've heard a teacher complain about the idea that they reinvent the wheel all the time, that they're constantly doing something that their colleagues have already done or that they've already done previously, and we just seem to be doing the same things over and over again. Well, Adrian Bruce is a guy who teaches up on the north coast of New South Wales, and Adrian once, about 10 years ago, made a decision that there was no point reinventing the wheel, and he was going to give away a lot of his stuff. So worksheets and quizzes and activities and projects and posters and all the sorts of things that he was producing for his own use, he decided to just give it away. So Adrian started a little website, which has since grown to quite a large website, where he basically designs and modifies and adapts all these teaching resources for his own use and puts them up there, just gives them away and says to the rest of the teaching community, just take whatever you find useful. And take whatever they find useful they are doing in droves. Adrian's website, he tells me, is getting around about 2.5 million, yes that's right, million hits a month, and literally thousands. I think 110,000 games were downloaded last month, and about 2 million graphics files, and there's some pretty impressive numbers being talked about. So I thought, I've been wanting to talk to Adrian for a while, and I finally got a chance to catch up with him. So from his home up on the north coast of New South Wales, I get a chance to talk to Adrian, and he can tell us all about the way he works in his classroom, what he does with kids, what he does with other teachers, and how he manages to take some really amazing resources, package them up into a really simple format, and literally just give them away. Here's Adrian. So I'm talking today to Adrian Bruce, who has a wonderful reputation as a very innovative teacher and has done some amazing things. And Adrian, I'd get you to tell us a little bit about yourself, just where you're from and what you do, and what your relationship is in the whole teaching game.
Oh, okay, thanks, Chris. Where I am, I live up on the north coast of New South Wales these days. I've spent about 10 years working in Sydney. Then we moved up here, got a job in Byron Bay, which was very nice. Got a little community school there. I worked there for 3 years. And now I've moved back into...
now that was the infamous Starfish project, was it?
That was the Starfish project,
right,
yeah.
Cool.
And we'll put some links, I suppose, in the show notes to that. But that was a great project, yeah. I got to do a lot of web design with the kids, just working in a lot of collaborative groups, doing a lot of guided reading, and then the web design just became part of like a learning center activity. And so once people have a bit of a look at that, they'll see the types of ways that it was just trying to seamlessly integrate ICT into the classroom, really. It's like I could be doing some guided reading on one side of the room, and the other guys would be like making a web page or something like that on the other side.
God bless Web 1.
Oh God, yeah. But now, I've moved on to an Anglican school in Ballina at the moment. I've been there for about 3 years, and I'm just in the process of like reinventing myself. I've come from the whole idea of classroom teaching 5 days a week, and I now am basically an ICT integration specialist for 3 days there, and then I do 2 days of consulting work where I go around and teach teachers how to integrate ICT into their classrooms, and that's also really rewarding. And
doing a bang-up job of it, I hear.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of a reputation. I got a few people out there banging my drum.
That's good.
Just got accepted to do the ELH conference down in Melbourne, or Lawn.
Yep, that's the Expanding Learning Horizons.
Yeah, and that was heaps of fun last year. Met heaps of people, and got to have a couple of drinks with some of the people that I've been reading for years, and that was just good fun. And now with the with this job, I now teach stage 1 all the way through to year 10, and so I'm doing introductory to computers in one lesson, and then artificial intelligence and video game making design the next one. So it's keeping me on my toes.
Very cool.
Then the other thing that the principal's done there, it's like I'm sort of blessed in one way. It's a little bit visionary, but he's given me 8 periods of staff development, where what I do is I just go to people and say, hey, this is blogging. If you want to do it, I'll show you how to do it, but you've got to be in the classroom with me. and then I want you to take it back to your classroom and start implementing it in that. And just using Class Blogmeister to do that, and it's working very, very well on some levels. But it's the same with you go with the goers and all that. There's, like everything, a little bit of animosity from some, but and others are engaging in it wholeheartedly. So loving it, and just all that stuff you read on blogging and engaging writers, it's just really starting to come on. Some of the kids that would barely hand in a piece of writing are just on it at home, heaps of the time and stuff. It's great.
Well, that's great. I want to talk to you more about that whole blogging in the classroom thing, because I think there's a lot of doors that can open through that. I guess there's going to be a lot of people listening to this podcast, especially if they're Australian teachers who maybe have heard of your name and come across some of your work, because you've been a member of the Oz Teachers mailing list for about as long as I can remember.
Yeah, I was trying to think the other day how long it was, and I got my first job as a systems administrator in 1997. And so I reckon it would have been, I remember sitting in this one room, and it had to between there and, say, 98 or 99. So I've been on that one for a while now.
Yeah,
basically,
I would have said nearly 10 years, yeah.
Because and the thing was, I remember one of my first posts was, how do you make a web page? And sort of come a long way since then.
Yep, I remember that. Now, you one of the things that you're really well known for is the website that you maintain, and making sort of educational games and quizzes and all sorts of interactive activities for kids. So tell us a bit about that, because that's very cool stuff. Yeah,
that's a funny one, actually, because I first got into the whole web thing when I heard Jerry Smith of River Oaks fame talking, 97. And I went over to Toronto, and one of the things that hit me was he said, we've got all of this collaboration going around the world, and when you learn to do this, you can actually start to share teaching resources. And for us teachers that are time poor, we reinvent the wheel over and over and over again. And right from the time that I was first and second year out teacher, I was like, man, there's got to be a better way of doing this. And so when we moved to the North Coast, I did some work as an STLD, which is ST, so Support Teacher Learning Difficulties.
Right.
And I was working in a pretty low socioeconomic school. A lot of kids completely turned off to reading, have been for generations, And so one of the things that I did was I took some of the reading games that I first made, and it was I'd knock them up in Word rather than writing them out in texters. And then other people in the school started asking for them, and so all right, well, you can have that. And then so many people were asking for them, I just put them online, and I just give people the URL, and away they go to download the reading resources. And so I did that job for about 6 months, and then it's probably my favorite project, actually. It gives away about 110,000 reading games every month from all over the world. And now I've got people who are collaborating with me. There's a guy in Ireland who sends me a game every now and again, and a woman in the UK sends me some posters, and I just doctor them up and put them up there for everyone to use.
Now, you were saying before we started recording that one of the most rewarding things is when you start to see those hits of people visiting your site, taking stuff from places like India and Siberia and some of the really third world parts of the world.
Exactly. If you go to the cluster map on the reading side of adrianbruce.com, you'll just see an amazing, huge hunks of red where people are coming from, and that gives you a great deal of satisfaction. But the 2 or 3 that you get from, say, South Africa or up a bit further in Zimbabwe and places like that, even West Indies, Jamaica and things like that, some of the people's stories from there are just amazing. That they recount not being able to get resources, but if they can get to a printer, they can make these resources. One guy actually said, how do you phrase it? He was doing some work where it's not uncommon that children are taught to read by writing in the dirt with sticks. And these resources will go a long way to educating those children. and that's really rewarding.
That's got to give you warm fuzzies inside.
Oh, it does. It's really funny. I find when I'm giving a lecture and I read that email time, I sort of well up in the eyes just a tad, because I think we take our lifestyle for granted in many ways.
Yeah, definitely. Did you say how many hits the site getting every month? 110,000.
110,000 games go. Had a little laugh. I think there was 2.1 million GIFs and JPEGs went in the month.
Holy moly, that's a lot of download.
Yeah, it's over 40 gig a month is going through this site.
Your ISP must loved you.
Oh, yeah. Got a personal call from him recommending that I might like to take my website offshore.
Is it hosted in Australia?
It is. It's hosted in Sydney, actually, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm just on your site now. I'm just looking as we're talking, and you've got tons of stuff here. Art, maths, reading, science, stuff.
Yeah. I always figured right from the beginning that I was going to keep it colloquial.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't want it any la-di-da sort of stuff. It's just basically, look, here's some science stuff. If you want it, there you go, have it.
Yeah.
But in the science page, there's a really interesting project that I did with a school in Spain and a school in Mississippi. We won the Global Virtual Classroom project.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, where we eventually made Reader's Theatre scripts on our favourite science experiments, and it was really cool. Yeah, we'd knock up a draft, email it to the States, they'd act it out, then they'd send it back to us with different coloured suggestions and stuff, and we'd go yay or nay, and it was just a great project.
Yeah.
Got to learn about other kids, and and the kids had a bit of ESL experience with kids in English as a second language with some of the kids in Spain. So just a very nice project.
Fantastic. You know, I interviewed Janet Barnstable and Sharon Peters a couple of episodes ago, who also have done some stuff with Global Virtual Classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And Janet in particular, I visited her in Chicago while I was over there, and definitely, you really realise how much the teachers drive this stuff. I mean, I know the kids do it and everything, but it takes the insights and the motivation of a dedicated teacher to make it happen.
Oh, truly, it does. And then for us to put our hand up to be the project leader and stuff along that line, and back in Web 1 days, you were working out your FTP stuff and how to have people not write over what everybody else had done and stuff. Web 2, Read and Write Web has made just such a difference to what you can actually achieve with this now.
Yeah. I'm just a Web 2 junkie at the moment.
Okay. I'm a new convert actually. It's since discovering Class Blogmeister.
That's David Warlick's project.
It is David Warlick's project. And the things that you can do with it are really quite interesting. I haven't got the mastery of it yet that I had of the Web 1, but just the whole notion of going, how can we use this to better integrate literacy and technology and numeracy and just everything. What can we use it for? And it really is basically a big motivational factor for a lot of the kids.
Yeah. It's just the immediacy of it. I'm finding it, and I've got another podcast that's coming out. Actually, by the time this one comes out, the other one's probably the last one, if that makes sense, of a guy in Canada who did some amazing stuff with wikis with another teacher in the UK.
Oh, okay.
And, what blew me away when I was talking to these guys was just the immediacy of it. And it's interesting that you're discovering that same thing, this idea that it's just so fast.
It's funny, you get the kids, they'll press publish and they'll go back over to their blog and go, where is it? And it's like, oh no, it's not quite the same as MySpace and it's not quite the same as Blogger. And we actually have to approve this stuff for you.
Yeah, that's right, because Class Blogmeister's got all that workflow stuff.
You can. It's the main reason that I got approval for the project was the ability to monitor everything that comes through. From the point of view of child safety as well as the point of view of liability, litigation, copyright, blah blah blah, all those things that teachers sort of get really worried about.
Yep.
And rightly so in many ways.
It's I can always tell when Adrian Bruce has discovered something new because we see lots of it. We hear lots of it, and
what do you mean?
Oh, just on Oz Teachers, I remember when you got your was it the drawing tablet?
Oh yeah,
and we were seeing all these cool posters that you were doing. So it's great the way you're so willing to share everything with everyone. Yeah,
I think that really comes from I grew up on a dairy farm and stuff, so we didn't have a great deal. And then when we first moved to Sydney and all that, and starting to work down there, it was a hard slog beginning teaching. And it's one of the things a lot of people are using the site for is getting their initial resources together. You got casual teachers just getting, great days together. You got classroom teachers that are burnt out towards the end of term, looking for games and stuff to keep the kids motivated. And it is quite rewarding seeing the downloads go. Knowing that at any point there's 100 people on that website all just cruising around looking for stuff.
Yep. Well, I know I've got a poster over our photocopier at work that says, no matter what they try to tell you, title pages are pointless busy work. That's my favourite one.
Do you know, the scary thing about that is that I'm not game to put it up at my school. Between you and me. Yeah. But the funny thing is with those ones, and especially with teachers, is we do have to play the political game. It's like on a website there's an amount of anonymity where I can say, in years to come, a child's going to come up and thank you for all the great worksheets you gave, and not. And that's one of the posters that's getting around the blogosphere. Oh, I hate that word, the blogosphere at the moment.
Yeah, no. So what else we got here? We got homework ideas, the Ace Kids podcast. That's right, because you were doing some podcasting with some kids.
I started out with some podcasting, but it got a little bit cumbersome for me in that I was... I just didn't find that the kids were producing a level of work that I was particularly comfortable broadcasting. And, I mean, the process was fantastic, and we played a lot of it in school. But also the fact that I'd do it as part of reading groups so that they'd actually put together their own little bits, little segments, and then I'd mash them all together. And then, I just found, again, one of those things, you're making more work for yourself.
Yeah.
But what I'm heading towards with Blogmeister is I'm looking into... Let me just see where my sticky is here. I got 3 things to look at. I got Podomatic, Podcast People, and Gcast as being possible Web 2 hosts. And then what I'll do is in the Blogmeister bit, just stick out a little URL so that the kids can put maybe a 2 or 3 minute podcast together and actually upload it all themselves, do all the post-production themselves. Because that's what I found with the Ace Kids one. Like, it's a very popular part of the site, but I did a lot of the work myself, and I didn't feel that it was reflecting where the kids were at.
Yeah. Evoca might be another one you want to look at. evoca.com.
Okay.
It's just another sort of Web 2 tool where you can click on the page and it basically puts up a record button and you record straight to the web page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's some neat things around that.
Because, what I like, I feel a lot of the time with Web 2 stuff is a lot of the design and a lot of the creativity stuff is already decided for you, and so in many ways that's a really nice thing. But with something like Audacity, which has the ability to be like a 16-track recorder, the kids can put in some music that they, we're PC-based, so they put it in, that they make it in EJ, and then they can... put in the sound effects that we get from flashkit.com, all that Creative Commons stuff, and they can actually make something that's more like a soundscape. I find a lot of the podcasting is, I wouldn't say mundane, it's about people's lives and all that sort of stuff, but there's not a lot of podcasting out there that's actually performance-based. So, like with Year 12...
that's a really good point,
with a lot of the Year 12s at the moment, their teachers sending them off to me to learn how to use Audacity for their performance poetry stuff. So instead of just reading it into a tape recorder or whatever, they can actually put it into Audacity. They can then use all of the effects to bring it to being, again, a performance piece that's interesting to listen to.
No, there's a lot of merit in that. I think we can do a whole lot more in classrooms just with the whole notion of audio and outside the podcasting concept, which is kind of typically just like a news report or a radio show, but just to simply do stuff with audio. I think there's lots of potential just in that.
One of the biggies is when you put their voices into Audacity, just from science, get them to predict what their voice is going to sound like backwards, and they'll actually sound it. Even the phonics is backwards. And so they just have a great time rolling around the floor listening to themselves going...
Very nice.
It is good. But one of the things with the Ace Kids podcast is that they always want to do jokes. So it was like you had to choose, 10 of the best jokes that stick within the school ethos, won't offend the principal, blah, blah, blah. And they did it as like a comedy show. And I think that might be the first or second podcast where they actually pretend that they're at a comedy club. So Yeah, it's an interesting way to go. Well, what you've got 3 minutes to talk to the world. What are you going to say to them?
Yeah, good point. Yeah. You've actually received quite a lot of sort of kudos for a lot of the stuff you've done. In fact, didn't you go to Korea recently?
Yeah, I won the Microsoft Innovative Teachers Award for 2005 for New South Wales.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm just absolutely stoked because, like, for so long you've done this work for free. And it was just nice to be recognised for what we were doing and things. And then when we went over there, the Australian, where the Australians were at was just amazing. I mean, the woman from Tasmania is doing game design. There was a guy from South Australia who was doing robotics, where the kids actually soldered up their own robots.
Huh.
Yeah, there was people doing LMS stuff, learning management systems. It was really good to get together with like 14 Aussies and just go overseas, have a couple of drinks at $15 a beer, and then and just talk, about where we're at with ICT, and got some great contacts all over the world.
Was that all Australians that went to that, or was that a global thing?
It was a global thing. Oh, sorry, Asia Pacific.
Right.
Okay, so the Canadians came over. There were Vietnam, India, all of that whole area there. Yeah, Japan. It was just fantastic to see.
Yeah, it's the best kind of networking, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yeah, to actually meet these people in the flesh that you've only ever known virtually is really interesting.
Have you actually met many people, sort of in real life, that you've initially started to get to know online?
Probably
like in the teaching community.
Probably only 5 or 10.
Yeah.
It's more with the whole notion of Web 1 being very much people take from it. I lectured in New Zealand. I gave the keynotes over at the 2ANZ conference last year, and I had people coming up going, "Oh man, I've been using your work for years. I used to use it in Saudi Arabia when I was over there." And it's just a really nice feeling that people have used this stuff all over the world, because for a lot of the concepts, it's generic, it's universal. And so the whole symmetry project, which is the first one that I ever did, that came from frustration of just knowing that I don't have a complete symmetry resource. So I have this thing of saying, don't whinge, don't complain, think then act. And so it's like, well, I don't have a symmetry resource, so let's build it. Yeah. And I did that with the kids, and that's getting an amazing amount of hits. It's like if you type in line symmetry to Google, I think it's first position now.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do it right now. Line symmetry.
And you'll see the hangovers from Web 1 there. Because I think we use like
adrianbruce.com/symmetry. Visual maths learning for all ages.
It was first project Netscape Communicator 4 or something like that. We made it in.
Yeah.
So, and then I gave it a bit of a boost a couple of years later.
Look, it doesn't matter what you make it in, as long as it's the content that people are.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's what's making it so popular, is that the content is there. There is a part where you can make your own learning web quest towards the bottom, so there's like 50, 60 questions that you can actually just copy and paste into a Word document and have, relative to your syllabus wherever you are in the world, the content can be tailored to your students. Well, that's the plan.
Yeah. I've been to this site lots of times. I'm just browsing through it as we're speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here lots of times and had a browse through it, but every time I come here I just realise it's so much bigger than I thought it was.
Believe me, I know.
How many pages in this beast?
I would have to open up Dreamweaver and have a look at that.
So it's all done in Dreamweaver?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, for the last few years I've been doing that.
There's tons of pages.
What do we got? Sitemap somewhere in there?
Yeah. That's okay. It was just a curiosity question.
I've got the thing that's popping up in front of me here is 2,700 links from the cache. So it's big. Now,
wow.
Yeah. And I want to have in the next set of holidays just some time where I just sit down with it and try and get some order happening, because it really has been just something where I hang stuff off it and have done for quite a while.
Yeah, well, look, anything that's, how long has this been growing for? 9 or 10 years now. So,
it's going
to be organic.
2002 was when we left Sydney in 2000, and then the interest was starting to hit by 2002, so that's when I got my own domain name.
Yeah.
Got it ready to go.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned blogging before. Just tell me about blogging, because you're obviously trying it in the classroom with your kids.
I tend to do things where I set my own ICT goals. I go, right, well, this time I'm going to do, blogging. And so I started with a Blogger account last October. Then by January this year, we signed up for Class Blogmeister.
Yep.
And if you go into the Class Blogmeister website.
Is that linked on here?
Oh, God. Yeah, actually, if you go to adrianbruce.com just at the front page.
Yeah.
And then if you go to the blogging section down the bottom, this is just work in progress.
Blogging with children.
Blogging with children, yeah.
Yep.
This is coming because I can't find a central resource for everything blogging, so I'm just starting to build it myself.
Yep.
And then I think there's one here that says classroom. I'm just got it in front of me here. Blog host, where is it? It should be something like class blogs, right down the bottom. Blogging projects I'm helping out with, okay? And that just links you straight into a teacher at my school, Shannon Ruskin. She's really big into thinking skills, doing lots of learning center type activities and stuff. And so when she has to come to a lesson with me, and I'll just choose something that we think the kids might like to have a go at, or just trying to upskill them enough. So, and look here, you'll see we got the children to put in a TeacherTube video. Yep. They had to go to TeacherTube, choose something that they thought people would like. They had to choose the best science website on the internet, the best maths website, I think some of the others did, and stuff like that. And then we were doing some online cartoon making, because in the PC world we don't have Comic Life. So we're just using online tools to create.
You do now.
Do we?
Yeah, it's in beta.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, that'll be good.
Go to plastic.com and have a look. I think they've just released a beta for Windows,
Oh, good.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Yeah, no, that's cool. No, but what we did was we just used a heap of online tools, and the first thing I taught the kids to do was how to do a screen dump using paint.net, which is an open source piece of graphic manipulation stuff. Quite a bit easier than the GIMP. We used the GIMP last year, but paint.net is working quite well for them. And so when you're going down through the projects that the kids are doing, they're using all open source tools. So we've got either it's on the web. So the Jackson Pollock stuff was just a screen dump from jacksonpollock.org. The drawing that they're doing is in Inkscape. There's a new version of that coming out soon. We'll have a paint bucket, which will be just so much easier. There's just so much stuff that you can do now in Web 2.
Yeah.
Just trying to get the kids out there interacting with the world now that they've got the beginnings of it happening.
Yeah, this is neat, mate. You've got tons of stuff. How old are these kids?
This class is year 5, 6.
Really?
So
yeah.
10, 11, 12. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I one of the best comments I heard, I did some blogging with the class when I was in Canada, and it was a year 10 group, and one girl.
That's a business one, wasn't it?
This was it was a graphic communications class. But these kids came in at the start of the semester, and I said, we'll be doing all this work, and here's the outline of what we'll be covering. And by the way, I'm going to do it all with blogs. I'm going to set you all up with a blog, and this is how we're going to basically manage everything. And this girl sort of went, "Oh, this is cool. I'm going to get. I'm actually going to earn a credit point for doing something that I like doing."
Yeah, exactly.
Which I thought was a nice comment.
Yeah.
They actually relate to this whole thing, or this group of kids did anyway. Yeah, that's very cool. So, and do you find that the blogging actually, you're getting a different kind of writing out of the kids? Does it have any effect?
The biggie that we're noticing is the children that wouldn't normally write, that wouldn't be motivated to write, are the ones that we're seeing the biggest change in. These are the kids that are coming and asking the questions. They're on at home. They seem to be getting feedback from people. So instead of a piece of writing just being left in a book, they're getting feedback. So those guys, there's a definite motivation from them there. I think there's a big middle in our lot where technology is taken pretty much for granted, and in some ways blogging is just seen as another way of doing work. And then there's also a group that are just running with it, that are just on here often. There seems to be like a cultural tribalism amongst the kids, ones that relate to it differently. I think if you look at Albie Shrink there, he he is really into the techo side. So he's like, what's he done here? Oh, he's taken Lego Digital Designer. He's just done something himself, taken a screen dump of it and stuck it up there. He begs for answers to his homework. But yeah, he's doing really well.
Yeah.
So that I have tasks that I set them, and then they're free to do other things that they want as well. And that's working well.
How do your kids get? I'm just curious about something here. How do your kids get access to computers? It's not a laptop school, right?
No. There's 4 machines in each room.
They're doing a lot of technology-related stuff,
Yep.
considering they don't have one-to-one access.
Yeah. No. When I did the Starfish page, it was because it was group work. 1 hour a day, I would do half an hour's guided reading with one group. They'd have half an hour's technology, and then there were 2 other activities going on in the room. And over a 2-day cycle, they would go through those. And I never looked at it as a technology-related thing. It was all right. You're using the computers for maths, and so they'd be doing graphs or virtual manipulatives or some of the learning objects, something along that line.
Yep.
Then they might another day they'd be doing digital music, so that was part of the music program. That was how the Starfish worked. What happens here is I only get to see these kids once a week, but there's one task that they have to complete, and they have to complete it within a 7-day cycle, and then they're allowed to access the 4 machines that are in their classroom, and also the classroom teacher might set another task in rotating groups that needs to be completed on the blog.
Right. You're turning out an amazing volume of work, considering you're only getting that once a week access.
I think they're doing really well.
Yeah.
They really are quite motivated towards it.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, mate, I don't know. Is there other things on here you want to point out to people while they've got their eyeballs on your site?
Yeah. Let me just rip back here a little bit. So there's all of the blogging stuff that's coming along. Tonight I'm putting up my first chess posters, which is, again, really nerdy, but I often feel there's a carryover between reading with boys and playing chess. I don't know if there's any dodgy research out there, but just anecdotally, I find if you're doing rotating groups, the boys love to get to the chess rotation. And there seems to be you just notice it, say, over about the 6-month period, that if they can focus in on the chess, they seem so much more focused when they're actually at a guided reading level. I don't know whether it's dodgy or what, but it's basically, I find that it works for me. So I'm putting up some chess posters. The poetry scaffolds, they're just things that I've done, and people, just with poetry, I feel that with boys, it takes a little while to introduce them to figurative language, so scaffolding is a really good thing to do with them. The problem solving is something that I've always done for the last 10 years with kids, where you give them a puzzle, give them half an hour during the week to solve it, and then they have to spend 7 days trying to solve it. And then, when they're just so frazzled, and the parents get into it, and so you're actually getting a nice dynamic happening there for problem solving. So just some of the better program ones that I've put up, and used over the years that are in the public domain. I'm just trying to get them all into one spot, so that a teacher who wants to do problem solving can just go in and go, man, there's 10 puzzles, there's 10 weeks work.
Yeah, it's a great resource. Mate, you've done a fabulous job of putting this stuff together.
Thank you. Yeah. The little homework ideas, that started out as homework, but I'm thinking I might change it now to blogging type ideas. When you read something in a journal, children today can't do this. So, and especially in the science realm, I've only got 2 chapters to go on the world is flat at the moment. And so that notion of upping science and maths and trying to bring awe and wonder into science and maths is something that I'm trying to work on in that homework section.
Yeah. I can see why you won an Innovative Teacher Award.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Because there's really a lot of cool stuff here.
But just the last one I think that might be of interest to your readers is the computer section. And in there, I'm slowly building up all of the free resources and the open source resources that we're actually using at school. Because
okay, as in links to the software you're using?
Links to the software, but also I'm hoping to get tips and tricks. And one of the ways that I generate a lot of work is that the kids have, we do joint instructions, or we write together how to use a piece of software. So say we take something like Photo Story, we'll just do some screen dumps into a Word document, and then we'll just write the procedure on the screen, print that out, and then people get to annotate it and just go, this bit doesn't work and that bit does and what have you. And so things like that I want to get up online so that people don't, they can actually give those procedures to a group of children and just go, here's Comic Life, here's Animator, those like 3D manipulation software and stuff like that.
It's really powerful doing that. Really powerful.
It is.
I had a software application, computer applications class once. It was a year 12 class, and one of the tasks was they were given. I think it was a small class. There was only like 10 kids in the class, so I gave them 10 pieces of software that I knew they'd never seen before, and they had 2 weeks to basically write a training manual.
Yeah.
So they had to take this piece of software, which they had no idea what it even was, figure out what it was, figure out what it did, and then understand it well enough to write a training manual.
Yeah.
And it really flips it on its head, I think, when you put the kids not in the position of a user of the software, but in someone who's actually got to explain it to somebody else.
But very good point. The other thing that I like to do is like to show the kids that I'm a lifelong learner, and I know that sounds really cliche, but basically, if you're going to advocate being a lifelong learner and producing lifelong learners, then you got to show the kids that you're one as well.
Absolutely.
So if you take a piece of, like if we rip into the graphic art section here and say something like Art Rage or the GIMP or any of those ones that are there, even Inkscape, you just go, hey, this is what I've done in half an hour last night. Can you guys just go for it? Because if you think of it, you got 30 kids in a class and they're spending half an hour on it just exploring it. There's 15 hours of exploration time that you yourself don't have to do.
Yeah.
And so just trying to build up that idea of a learning community. It's like, hey, the calligraphy tool does this, but I can't get this to happen. We were using Google SketchUp the other day. The year 3-4s want to design a park.
Yep.
And, you just go, man, how do you resize this stuff? So somebody's into the manual and somebody's online looking for it. And you got other kids just hitting buttons. And, I have this saying of use it till it breaks. There's nothing that we can do to these machines that a simple reformat won't stop. So Google SketchUp is just so powerful and free. And the kids are really into it.
So you've mentioned a couple of really interesting pieces of software there. I think Inkscape, fascinating, and you mentioned Paint.net before. Do you know the story behind Paint.net?
It was going to be the replacement for Paint or something, somebody said.
Oh, well, the story I read was there was a bunch of work experience students. They weren't school-age students. They were like university-type students, but they were on work experience at Microsoft. And they were just hanging around the place. And they said, what can we do? And the guys at Microsoft said, well, I don't know, pick a project. And they said, well, Paint's pretty ordinary. How about we redesign Paint?
Yeah.
So they did, and that's what they came up with, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great program, and the thing that I really like about it for blogging is when you go to save your graphics, it's got an optimization slider in it, so that the kids can get to know that a graphic has to be between 10 and 20K, and that's written in the procedure. We just have a procedure of how to get an image ready for Blogmeister, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks I'll get that onto the blogging site, so that people can just use Paint.net in the Blogmeister environment.
Yeah, very nice. So what are some of your other favourite tools? You've mentioned Audacity a few times, so obviously using that a fair bit. What was the other one you said?
I use, for digital music, I use one called EJ.
Yeah. Is that open source?
And no, that's one of the few we'll actually buy, but if you go to EB Games, you can also pick it up for like $10 a copy.
Right.
You can buy like a version 7, but we don't like that one as much as the cheaper ones. What else? There's just so much stuff. At the moment in Year 9, that I'm doing a Year 9 class, we're taking a really constructivist bend on video game making, and so we've got about 5 pieces of software that we're experimenting with at the moment, and the biggie there is one that you can make first-person shooters with, and they're only allowed to shoot hamburgers or maybe mutant teddy bears or something like that at the moment. But it's making something similar to like Quake and Doom, and it's called Reality Factory, and that's a really interesting project that's going on. I've got some using Click and Play, and some are using Game Maker. I think there's another one using Adventure Maker, and there were a couple that we tried, and on our beloved network, a couple of them just wouldn't work. So there's one called Scrolling Game Designer and Pinball Factory or something, and just within it, you go, right, well, you got 9 weeks to build me a game that's going to be the talk at the school. Here I had them using FreeWebs or EduWebs, whichever one, EduBlogs. Yeah,
Yep, EduBlogs,
they're blogging it and keeping an online journal of what's going on there. Then they're working out how to get the source code and the exe files up into their blogs by using other Web 2 tools. And tomorrow's D-Day for them. They all have to have it in, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And I told them that I'll promote their games through my website, just through the computer section there.
Yeah, fantastic.
So just to get a bit more traffic and get some ideas from the games. And Year 10, I'm experimenting with PowerPoint Producer. Have you seen that? It's like a little plug-in for PowerPoint.
It's
taken them a little. Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's a bit complicated, like to get your head around, but once you do that, it's very powerful.
It's taking them a little while though to. I'm not quite sure if it's the first time that they've had it, but it is taking them a little while to actually do some production stuff. But again, really good from looking at the point of view of PowerPointlessness. It's like, man, you just got a whole page of notes there. We don't want to hear you read them. How can you do this? And so they're doing the artificial intelligence stuff. So that's interesting as well.
Nice.
Yeah, but again, have a look at the software stuff. There's a whole heap of things there. One of my favorites is Animator. It's an old program now, but you know how like things like Houdini and all of the software that they use to make Happy Feet and all of those movies. That's so much a part of kids' culture, but they're just excluded from the making of it because of the expense of the software. So with something like Animator, they can get straight into making 3D characters for free. And that's a really nice one. It's actually one of the ones that if you just go, oh, look, we've got 10 minutes, what do you want to do? The kids will go to Animator and start knocking up a mascot or something along that line.
Wow. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, that's a good one. As I'm looking at these things and just go, oh, look, there's Monkey Jam. Have you tried Monkey Jam?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, Monkey Jam's a wonderful piece of stop motion animation software.
It's in front of me right now. Yeah.
All you need is like a webcam and stop motion. I've actually stopped trying to integrate it into the curriculum because it's like the kids just get so into animating stuff. It's more about group processes and learning what animation is. And what I did was we had them make their own little animated films and then showed Wallace and Gromit. And you go, Wallace and Gromit's 35 frames a second or something like that. And the kids just had this new appreciation of how the film was made after they go at the animation themselves. I'm not sure. There might be, I remember, there was, no, it's not, sorry, what I'm thinking is there was a great film that some lads made, and I haven't actually put it onto the site because it actually belongs to them.
Right.
Yeah, so just
wait for them to put it on YouTube and then link to it.
Well, exactly. Put a link to it. I think if you do stop motion animation, you just actually have to have a rule. It's nothing's to get squashed. It's like we've seen that before. Oh, look, here comes the hand. It was squashed.
Every story ends the same.
It does. But with the stop motion stuff, we started doing. I'm a really big fan of Scamper Process, which is an old 1960s creativity sort of thing. And it stands for something like substitute, combine. So instead of using plasticine, you go, okay, well, what can we substitute here? So they were bringing in like their Bionicles, or one group of kids actually did a painting in front of the stop motion, which was really cool. And so you'd actually see the paint being applied to the paper to come out with a painting. Yep. Yeah, and just looking at creative ways of using it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, mate, I guess we better start winding it up because I'm trying to keep these things down to about no more than 45 minutes, so we're just about getting there. But you actually are out on your own a couple of days a week now doing consultancy.
Yeah.
Just sort of briefly, what are you doing in that sort of field?
Basically, I'm working with the executive of the school is big time, is what's happening, and they give me an idea of the dynamic of the staff, whether they're receptive or not receptive or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they give me a bit of an idea of a road that they might like to travel, and often they're really open. And so I show them that what I do is I take a more constructive sort of approach with them. It's like I show them, somewhere between 4, depending on how receptive the staff are, between 4 and 6 pieces of software to just a normal staff. But with the ELH conference, I'll do about 11 or 12 pieces of software in the day. Not from the point of view of using it and learning how to use it and learning everything about it. It's more that this stuff exists. For a lot of teachers, they don't know that SketchUp is out there, which is such a powerful tool for your design and makes and all that. So I do a bit of everything where the people go around and they experiment with it all, and I encourage the groups to talk to one another. So the staff is split into about 4 groups. And they work through the software, and I give them a big motivational speech at the beginning, just showing them all sorts of things and work samples that the kids can do and stuff along that lines. Then we get butts on seats and actually start using the software. And as they rotate through the groups, the last group through becomes like an expert group. And so if anybody has a problem, you don't come to me. You come to the person who is likely to know on your staff. And from that, just trying to show them how you can build up a learning community in the classroom where you don't have to be the oracle. You don't have to know everything about the software. It's a matter of learning the software with the kids, because the software that these kids will use in 5 years, it doesn't exist yet. What we need to instill into them is the processes of how you attack a piece of software.
Yeah,
and so I do that.
That's a really important insight, and just even taking that a step further, that the future we're preparing kids for doesn't exist yet either.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And there's another great one I love. It's we're preparing them for their future, not our past. And you look at many of the ways that teaching is still the same as it was in the 1950s, when you're walking around. But then with my consultancy, the last thing that we do in the day for like the last 15 or 20 minutes is, look, I know your head's about to explode here, but what you've got to do is you're not thinking about doing all of this stuff, okay? This is not what the purpose of today is. Today was to show you that you can do 3D animation, you can do claymation, computer-aided design, you can get into blogging or podcasting, digital music, whatever your interest is now. I want you to choose one application, and I want you to commit to it for 10 weeks.
Yeah,
and
nice.
in that
That's a
time,
good approach. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, it has that whole andragogy thing with the adults where they can actually go, oh, okay, well, I'm not being told to do this. I'm actually given some choice. And if you're doing something, like some of them will start really early. They'll start with like photo story, and they'll just do like a class construction of something that's going on. But, then the next important phase is when the end of the term comes. The principal will sit down for just a brief meeting to say, look, did you bite off too much? Didn't you bite off enough? Where do you want to go next term? What's your ICT goal for term 4 going to be? And term 4, let's say we're going to make it 7 weeks. What could you get into? And I give email support, so if any of the teachers want to talk to me about problems that they're having, they just send through an email, and that's working really well at the moment.
Yeah, that must be really rewarding too, taking teachers from point A to point B or C or D.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And the one thing that I find really rewarding about it is that these people are going back to 30 kids. So they're going back to that many kids that previously didn't know that this type of software actually existed. And I mean, that's the majority I'm finding need to know that there's life outside the office suite.
Amen.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Well, thanks for the opportunity to have a chat.
That's all right. It's really good to finally catch up, and we've been trying to plan this for a while, and we finally managed to do it, which is great.
No, it is good. But people feel free to go into the website, just take whatever you need. There's plenty of stuff there to keep you interested for quite a while.
Yep, that's great. And, mate, that's the true spirit of, I think it's the spirit of education and the spirit of the internet, this idea that, just share it, just get it out there, share it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Don't lock it up behind a firewall. God, if I'm using it, well, somebody else can use it somewhere else in the world.
Yep, that's right, exactly right.
I made it once. Why do you have to go ahead and reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, very true. Well, okay, Adrian, thanks very much for your time, mate. I've really appreciated the chat.
Not a problem, and I look forward to hearing the results, mate.
No worries. Catch you later.
Have a good one.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Can I strongly encourage you, if you've never been there, pop on over to www.adrianbruce.com and take a look at some of the stuff Adrian's doing. It really is quite extraordinary. And as he says, feel free to take whatever you find useful. Don't forget too that this episode and all the other episodes in this podcast series are available at www.virtualstaffroom.net, where you can go and download show notes, links to things we talk about in all the episodes, and of course all the previous episodes. So please take a moment, go and have a look at the website. It's pretty basic and simple to use, and you can get everything you need there. You can subscribe to this podcast through the iTunes Music Store. Just go into podcasts, click on education, and go down to educational technology, and hopefully we'll be up there near the top somewhere. I think we're floating around number 3 at the moment. So thank you to everyone who subscribes and listens through iTunes. And of course you can also listen directly from the website at virtualstaffroom.net. So that's about all for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you've enjoyed listening to the podcast series that we're doing here, as I mentioned in the previous episode, there's a little donate button on the front page of the website, and anything you wanted to throw in there as a donation to keep the podcast going would be greatly appreciated, just to help offset the costs of bandwidth and hosting and all that sort of stuff. So if you've enjoyed the series and you get something out of it, I won't complain if you decide to make a small donation, but of course it's not necessary. Thanks for listening. My name is Chris Betcher, and you've been listening to the Virtual Staff Room.